Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela. July 18, 1918, December 5, 2013, was a South African anti-apartheid activist who served as the first president of South Africa from 1994 to 1999. He was the country's first black head of state and the first elected in a fully representative democratic election. His government focused on dismantling the legacy of apartheid by fostering racial reconciliation. I have chosen for you the best quotes by Nelson Mandela. It always seems impossible until it's done. Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. If you talk to a man in a language he understands, that goes to his head. If you talk to him in his language, that goes to his heart. There is no passion to be found playing small, in settling for a life that is less than the one you are capable of living. I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. It is better to lead from behind, and to put others in front, especially when you celebrate victory. When nice things occur, you take the front line. When there is danger, then people will appreciate your leadership. After climbing a great hill, one only finds that there are many more hills to climb. Money won't create success. The freedom to make it will. For to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others. To deny people their human rights is to challenge their very humanity. A good head and a good heart are always a formidable combination. As long as poverty, injustice, and gross inequality persist in our world, none of us can truly rest. Our human compassion binds us the one to the other, not in pity or patronizingly, but as human beings who have learned how to turn our common suffering into hope for the future. Good leader can engage in a debate frankly and thoroughly, knowing that in the end he and the other side must be closer, and thus emerge stronger. You don't have that idea when you are arrogant, superficial, and uninformed. If you want to make peace with your enemy, you have to work with your enemy. Then he becomes your partner. Courageous people do not fear forgiving for the sake of peace. No country can really develop unless its citizens are educated. People respond in accordance with how you relate to them. If you approach them on the basis of violence, that's how they'll react. But if you say, "We want peace, we want stability," we can then do a lot of things that will contribute to the progress of our society. It is wise to persuade people to do things and make them think it was their own idea. Let freedom reign. The sun never set on so glorious a human achievement. There is no such thing as part freedom. Without education, your children can never really meet the challenges they will face. So it's very important to give children an education and explain that they should play a role in their country. Only free men can negotiate A prisoner cannot enter into contracts. There is nothing like returning to a place that remains unchanged, to find the ways in which you yourself have altered. When the water starts boiling, it is foolish to turn off the heat. In countries where innocent people are dying, the leaders are following their blood rather than their brains. Any man or institution that tries to rob me of my dignity will lose. There are times when a leader must move out ahead of the flock, go off in a new direction, confident that he is leading his people the right way. Nonviolence is a good policy when the conditions permit. I should tie myself to no particular system of society other than of socialism. Leaders in all spheres who are living with HIV should be encouraged, not coerced, to lead by example and disclose their HIV status. I was not a messiah, but an ordinary man who had become a leader because of extraordinary circumstances. Intervention only works when the people concerned seem to be keen for peace. I detest racialism because I regard it as a barbaric thing, whether it comes from a black man or a white man. Even if you have a terminal disease, you don't have to sit down and mope. Enjoy life and challenge the illness that you have. Will not leave South Africa, nor will I surrender. Only through hardship, sacrifice, and militant action can freedom be won. The struggle is my life. I will continue fighting for freedom until the end of my days. There are so many men and women who hold no distinctive positions, but whose contribution to the development of society has been enormous. By ancestry, I was born to rule. I have always regarded myself, in the first place, as an African patriot. There is nothing I fear more than waking up without a program that will help me bring a little happiness to those with no resources, those who are poor, illiterate, and ridden with a terminal disease. Let each know that for each the body, the mind, and the soul have been freed to fulfill themselves. Sometimes I feel like one who is on the sidelines, who has missed life itself. Give a child love, laughter, and peace, not AIDS. My son has died of AIDS. Our single most important challenge is therefore to help establish a social order in which the freedom of the individual will truly mean the freedom of the individual. Africans require, want, the franchise on the basis of one man one vote. They want political independence. The education I received was a British education, in which British ideas, British culture, and British institutions were automatically assumed to be superior. There was no such thing as African culture. There are many people in South Africa who are rich, and who can share those riches with those not so fortunate, who have not been able to conquer poverty. Especially for those of us who lived in single cells. You had the time to sit down and think. And we discovered that sitting down just to think is one of the best ways of keeping yourself fresh and able to be able to address the problems facing you. And you had the opportunity, also, of examining your past. Sabotage did not involve loss of life, and it offered the best hope for future race relations. Bitterness would be kept to a minimum. And if the policy bore fruit, democratic government could become a reality. The titanic effort that has brought liberation to South Africa, and ensured the total liberation of Africa, constitutes an act of redemption for the black people of the world. I can't pretend that I'm brave, and that I can beat the whole world. We can't afford to be killing one another. I have been influenced in my thinking by both West and East. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button to receive all new